Mastering AWS MQTT, a complete guide to connecting with MQTTX client. This podcast is brought to you by Business Compass LLC. We are an Amazon Web Services advanced consulting partner. We build and migrate workloads to Amazon Cloud. Our website is businesscompassllc.com. Our phone number is 973-638-2228. Our email address is contact@businesscompassllc.us. Introduction to AWS MQTT and MQTTX client. In the rapidly evolving world of the Internet of Things, IoT, MQTT, message queuing telemetry transport, stands out as a lightweight, publish-subscribe network protocol that transports messages between devices. AWS MQTT, a part of AWS IoT Core, allows secure communication between IoT devices and the AWS cloud. In this podcast, we'll walk you through setting up AWS MQTT and connecting it to the MQTTX client, a user-friendly tool for testing and debugging MQTT connections. Creating and configuring your AWS MQTT thing. Creating an AWS account and accessing IoT Core. To begin, you'll need an AWS account. If you don't have one, sign up at the AWS Management Console. Once logged in, navigate to IoT Core under the Services menu. AWS IoT Core is the backbone of your MQTT setup, providing the platform for connecting devices and managing communications. Creating or using an existing thing. In AWS IoT Core, a thing represents your IoT device. You can create a new thing or use an existing one. To create a new thing, go to the Manage section in the IoT Core console. Click on Create a Thing. Provide a name for your thing and proceed through the setup steps, including configuring type and group settings, optional. Generating and managing security certificates. AWS IoT Core uses X509 certificates for securing communication between devices and the AWS cloud. To generate and manage certificates, you'll be prompted to generate a certificate during the thing creation process. Download the certificate, private key, and root CA certificate. You'll need these files to establish a secure connection with your MQTTX client. Keep these credentials safe. Losing them may require creating new certificates. Establishing policies and attaching permissions. Policies in AWS IoT define the permissions for your IoT devices. To create a policy, go to the Secure section in the IoT Core console. Select Policies and click on Create a Policy. Define the necessary actions, such as connecting to the IoT Core, publishing, and subscribing to topics. Attach the policy to your thing certificate to grant the required permissions. Connecting MQTTX client to your AWS MQTT broker. Downloading and installing MQTTX client. MQTTX is a cross-platform MQTT 5.0 client tool designed for testing, debugging, and managing MQTT connections. Download and install MQTTX from the MQTTX website. It's available for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. Establishing a new connection with AWS Thing details. Once MQTTX is installed, follow these steps to establish a connection with your AWS MQTT thing. Open MQTTX and click on New Connection. In the connection settings, provide a unique name for your connection. Obtain the AWS Thing endpoint from the AWS IoT Core console by navigating to Settings under the Manage section and copying the endpoint URL. Configuring SSL/TLS security with certificates. To ensure secure communication. In the MQTTX connection settings, under SSL/TLS, enable the SSL/TLS option. Upload the previously downloaded certificate, private key, and root CA certificate files. Ensure that the port number is 8883, the default port for MQTT over SSL/TLS. Subscribing to and publishing MQTT messages. Creating MQTT topic subscriptions in MQTTX client. With the connection established, you can now subscribe to MQTT topics. In MQTTX, navigate to the Subscriptions section. Click on New Subscription and enter the topic to which you wish to subscribe. Click Subscribe to start receiving messages published on this topic. Publishing messages to specified MQTT topics. To publish messages to a specific MQTT topic, go to the Publish section in MQTTX. Enter the topic name and message payload. Click on Publish to send the message to the AWS MQTT broker. AWS MQTT and MQTTX in action. A practical demonstration. Observing real-time message exchange between AWS MQTT and MQTTX client. With MQTTX connected to AWS MQTT, you can observe real-time message exchanges. Subscribe to a topic on one client and publish a message from another. The message appears in the subscription feed, demonstrating successful communication. Expanding possibilities. Integrating Node-RED with MQTTX and AWS MQTT. Introduction to Node-RED and its role in IoT. Node-RED is a powerful flow-based development tool for visual programming, often used in IoT applications. It allows you to create complex workflows integrating various IoT devices and services. Exploring Node-RED's communication with AWS MQTT via MQTTX client. To integrate Node-RED with AWS MQTT via MQTTX. Install Node-RED and configure the MQTT nodes to connect to your AWS MQTT broker using the same endpoint and certificates. Use Node-RED to create flows that publish and subscribe to MQTT topics, enabling advanced IoT automation and data processing. Conclusion. Setting up AWS MQTT with MQTTX client provides a robust platform for testing and managing MQTT connections in IoT applications. Following this podcast, you can securely connect your devices to the AWS cloud, monitor real-time communication, and expand your IoT capabilities with Node-RED. Thank you for listening to our podcast. Please share this podcast, visit our website and follow our social media links.